explaining to you because I haven't uploaded anything in over 6 months, but I'll leave that for another video and I'm going to move on for now. So a while ago I bought a new car and I had one of these Ford radios with the auxiliary button on it, but it does nothing. And for a while I was trying to search to see if I could find an adapter cheap enough that I could use with this radio. And for the time, I bought one of these cheapy FM Bluetooth transmitters. Now they do the job and they're alright, but the problem is every so often you'll end up having to retune it because there's a station that's usually stronger than what the transmitter is putting out, and you end up hearing two stations at the same time. I'll have a link for this transmitter in the description if you want one, by the way. But in this video we're going to take a look at actually installing an auxiliary adapter into the factory radio, which is actually surprisingly pretty straightforward. The only problem is the adapter costs $30 compared to $20 for one of these cheapy FM transmitters. Now on another side note as well, there is a Bluetooth version of this that I was trying to get my hands on, but I couldn't find it because by the time I actually had some money to buy one, they all were out of stock. So I think the Bluetooth ones were about $40 or somewhere around there. If I do find it again, I'll put a link to it in the description. But I ended up buying the 3.5mm version anyways because I'm going to be wiring a tablet into my car. And I thought, heck, I don't want to deal with having to connect it every time I turn it on, so might as well just wire it in and leave it as is. Alright, so I didn't take any images when I first opened the box, but this is what it looks like. And it has two wires that you just need to wire up to 12 volt constant, which means it's always on. Now I found that a bit strange, and I originally was going to tap the power from the radio, but I ended up using cigarette lighters, you'll see later in the video. Here's the diagram as well of what it looks like when you would wire it up, but it's pretty straightforward. Hook it up to the back of the radio and it's wiring power. With all that out the way, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is kind of just take a flathead screwdriver and pry up the faceplate. And it's very easy to come off, just don't use too much force because you can break the clips on the back. But yeah, just go around each corner like this and it'll pop up and you could just easily pull the whole thing off. And as you could kind of see there, I did end up breaking one of the clips somehow, which I'm still surprised that happened. But once you do that, you can just go ahead and start unplugging everything. Now, you want to be a bit careful with that orange cable because that goes to the cigarette lighter. If you haven't disconnected your battery, which I didn't, just make sure that does not touch anything. And as you can see later, because I accidentally did have it touch the side case of the radio and it shorted out and burnt the fuse. So the next thing you're going to want to do is also start disconnecting all of the wires for the climate control. And once you have all that done, you could just set it aside like this. Now those black cables that you still see connected, I believe those are actual like metal cables in there, that they're not actually like power cables. So I wasn't able to disconnect them, so I just left it to the side like that. Now there's 2 bolts on each side of the radio that you could just use a socket to kind of get out, and that's what I did here. Fuck.
Pop it off, see what happens.
And that's why I warned about having the battery disconnected, because as you can see, it arced the side of the case and it blew a fuse, which I ended up needing to replace later. Now I do go back here and check with a multimeter to see if I did blow a fuse, and obviously I did, and I ended up needing to replace it. But there's 2 wires that are on that connector that I don't get on the camera, an orange and a black. The orange one is positive and the black one's negative. But yeah, once you have all the 4 bolts out, the radio should just slide out like this, and you can just go ahead and disconnect everything to kind of make it a little bit easy for you if you want. Now there was this mysterious 12-pin connector. If any of you know what that does, do tell me because I'm curious. But you could just plug in the adapter like this, pretty straightforward, and then we just move on to wiring it in. Now it does come with a manual, which is honestly pretty straightforward. You just gotta put power to 2 wires and that's about it. The next thing was to do some quick cable management, just pass everything into the glove box. So you kind of could just reach around like this and kind of grab it with your hand, and then stick some double-sided tape on the actual control box and just leave it in the glove box. Now to get a little bit more room, I did disconnect the radio and threw it in the back seat for the time being, and then now we go ahead to start stripping wires and wiring everything up. Now I'm only going to show how to do one of these wires on camera because it's pretty much rinse and repeat, but what I usually do is shave off a bit of insulation like this and do basically a T-tap where you wrap the wire around the part that's exposed and just put some solder on it to make sure it has a good connection, and then just wrap it up with tape and put it all back together. Now I just kind of quickly put everything back together, and as you can see in this clip, I do forget to plug in the radio antenna. I did go back and plug it in later, but I kind of just throw everything back up for a test fit just to make sure it all works, and turn the key. If it all went well and everything is working properly, you should now see this when you press the auxiliary button on your radio. Now we just gotta make sure we don't short this out again. I wonder how loud this gets. Jesus. That's pretty loud, actually. Now, as you can tell by that little short clip, it all worked. Now, to put everything back together, I do recommend you have a needle nose pliers and put the bolts in with the needle nose pliers first, and then take a socket wrench and put it in, unless you have a magnetic socket wrench with, because these screws kind of go into a very deep hole, and it's not really easy to keep them on the wrench. They just kept falling off when I tried, so hopefully you'll have better luck than I do. But yeah, just hand tighten everything. Don't overdo it because this very thin sheet metal, so you don't want to strip the screws or anything like that. And once you're done, everything should basically look how it was when you started, except now you have a new cable coming at your glove box. I haven't had any issues with the adapter so far, and it sounds a lot better than the Bluetooth transmitter. And yeah, no interference or anything like that. It all worked out pretty well. Just make sure your climate controls still work when you put it all back together. Make sure you do plug everything back in, because I did forget to plug in my antenna and was wondering why the radio didn't work for a little bit. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Patreon links in the description. If you want one of these adapters for yourself, I'll have an affiliate link. I'll also have an affiliate link for the Bluetooth transmitter if you want one of those for your car. And yeah, thanks for watching. Do support the channel on Patreon if you feel like it, and I'll catch you all in the next one.